Yes, now ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, and I'm finally here with my NXT reactions. Like I said I would. Very late though, it's last minute, it's Friday. I'm going to upload this during the day today, and then tonight stand deliver predictions, so we're ready for SmackDown reactions tomorrow and WrestleMania Night 1 predictions tomorrow. Then Sunday we'll have WrestleMania Night 1 reactions and WrestleMania Night 2 predictions, and then Monday obviously you'll get WrestleMania Night 2 reactions, and so on and so forth, as Monday Night Raw, Tuesday Night SmackDown, and Tuesday Night NXT, Friday Night SmackDown continue. So, starting off with NXT, obviously we have that vacant Women's North American Championship 6-woman ladder match so far. We had Zarya in the match, we had Sol Ruka in the match, we had Kalani Jordan, and then we had Izzy Dame. Out of all of them, I wanted Sol Ruka. I mean, she was the main woman I wanted to win the championship anyway. I think her finisher move is generational, and she's the best out of all the other women who aren't in the main event that I'm seeing so far personally. So that's what I was rooting for. So I was wondering who the final two women could be, and Lola Vice beat Tatum Paxley to advance, and a returning Thea Hale, who I have no clue who it is, but apparently she was once part of Chase U. She beat who did she beat? Carmen Petrovic, that's who she beat, and she advanced as well. So that's our 6 women. We have Zarya, we have Kalani Jordan, we have Sol Ruka, we have Izzy Dame, we have Lola Vice, now we have Thea Hale. I mean, yeah, can't complain. Sol Ruka better win. Sol Ruka better win. I'll leave my prediction for tomorrow. I realise I've been giving predictions this whole time. I'll leave my prediction for tomorrow. But speaking of that NXT North American Women's Championship ladder match, last week all the losers said they wanted a second chance to get in the match. Eva said no, but she said she had another idea. Well, it was revealed this week. I can't remember who all the women were who wanted a second chance, but she said they were all part of a tag team. I know some of them were Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson, but I know they all wanted a second chance, and she said instead you just could all team up in a triple threat tag team match at Stand and Deliver, and the winners will face the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez on the next episode of NXT. But obviously Roxanne Perez was one of the women who lost, and she said she isn't a part of a tag team, once again just been screwed. And then Ava then said, well, you could always find yourself a partner and make it a fatal 4-way. That's when later on in the show Roxanne was a bit like, no one in this locker room's good enough for me, yada yada yada. She could just do it by herself. And that's when Cora Jade walked in and said, is it too hard to apologise? Now, we never got a confirmation, we never got an apology, we never got a Roxanne and Cora Jade are teaming up when they're in the match. So we don't know, but let's just assume they're in the match, because otherwise if it's a triple threat match, I don't know who I want to win. I can't remember the other 2 teams, and I remember, no I do, Fatal Influence was one of them, Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend were one of them, and then there was another one. Maybe it was Gigi and Tatum Paxley. But no, obviously if Roxanne and Cora Jade are in this match, Roxanne and Cora Jade are going to win. Don't know if they'll win the Women's Tag Team Championships, but it's obviously time for Roxanne to go up to the main roster. So win, lose or draw, she's winning at Stand and Deliver. Win, lose or draw the championships, she's going to the main roster. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't mind that. That's an extra fella match, because I did think so far Stand and Deliver was very empty, you know. We're waiting on a lot of results tonight to determine matches, such as the result of a fatal 4-way, where the winners will face Ricky Saints for the North American Championship. The fatal 4-way was between All Ego, Ethan Page, Eddie Thorpe, Wesley, and the Heritage Cup champion Lexus King. Now obviously we all knew it was going to be Ethan Page. This was the most predictable fatal 4-way in history, because let's be honest, they had a feud. They both came from AEW. They all came with their bigger egos and their shining personalities, and shone straight away on NXT. I mean, straight away Ethan Page won the NXT Championship. Straight away Ricky Saints won North American Championship. So we all knew it was going to be Ethan Page. My one problem is, this did not need to be for North American Championship. I think Ricky Saints not only won about too early, that's not the main problem. The problem was he ended Sean Spears' reign too early. And it seems ridiculous because Ricky Saints and Ethan Page didn't need the title for this feud whatsoever. And instead, they could have had a triple threat match between Eddie Thorpe, Lexus King and Wesley, and then when I could have faced Sean Spears, we could have had an extra match on Stand and Deliver because Izzy Dame's in a match, you know. So it would have meant Sean Spears was in a match, and if Izzy Dame managed to win, which I hope not, or Sean Spears managed to win, I don't know, I just feel like Ethan Page, Ricky Saints didn't need the North American Championship, but now it has it regardless. So obviously Ethan Page is going to be the winner. I'm not mad at that, because obviously we want Ethan Page, Ricky Saints, but it didn't need the title, you know. That should have been a triple threat match between Lexus King, Eddie Thorpe and Wesley, where I think Eddie Thorpe should have won and faced Sean Spears at Stand Deliver, and Eddie Thorpe should have took the belt, but it's fine. We move on. Now, there was also, just like Friday Night SmackDown, there was a gauntlet match where the winners faced the NXT Tag Team Champions, Fraxium, at Stand Deliver. Coming out first was Hank and Tank. The other 4 teams were 4 teams who had beat them in the weeks prior. You know, when they were struggling to function as a tag team, and they needed advice from main roster tag teams on how to function as a tag team, and they kept losing to all these teams like New Quarter Catch Crew and Josh Briggs and Yoshiki and Amora and the Culling, all sorts, right? Well, first that was Hank and Tank against Tyson and Tyreek, who are Wesley's buddies. They beat Hank and Tank twice. Hank and Tank end their losing streak by beating these guys. The first one's out. Then next team comes out. It's the Culling. You know, Nico Vance and Brooks Jensen, who've beat Hank and Tank like twice now as well. Hank and Tank beat them, you know, in a brutal match. So it looks like, oh, Hank and Tank are hanging on for dear life. But you're thinking, oh, the next team's going to come by and win, you know. It was New Quarter Catch Crew, and Hank and Tank won again. And you start to see the story unfold, and all these teams have beat Hank and Tank in one-on-one matches the previous weeks when they're struggling to function as a tag team, and now in the gauntlet match for a shot at the title when it really matters, they're beating them all at once. It's almost like way more impressive. And then the last team out, Josh Briggs and Yoshiki and Amora. And this is where I think, obviously, although they've beat Hank and Tank as well, I'm thinking this is where Hank and Tank lose the gauntlet match, and Yoshiki and Amora and Josh Briggs come in and win, because although they had a title shot at, was it Vengeance Day? I think it was Vengeance Day. Although they had a title shot and they fumbled it, that's still the new function tag team. And obviously NXT's tag team division is not very stacked, and Fraxium need a good challenge. I feel like them being a new tag team was the right challenge. Plus, I don't think Hank and Tank would win from number 1, but then again they did. They beat Josh Briggs and Amora. They beat every team, all the teams that beat them in the previous weeks. It was great storytelling, I'll give them that, but it does ruin it. Why does it ruin it? Because Bayley and Lyra Valkyria just did the exact same thing on SmackDown. Bayley and Lyra Valkyria came out first in a 6-team gauntlet match and beat 5 other teams on SmackDown. That, I don't know if that's ever been done before in gauntlet matches. I know people come out first and last to like the final 2, but they never usually win from number 1. And that's what Bayley and Lyra did on SmackDown, and it seemed like an incredible feat, and then it's just happened again on NXT. I don't know if WWE are just in their bag with it and just feel like, oh, let's hit them twice with a shotgun moment, but I wasn't feeling it, to be honest. But it was great for the storyline. It's just, maybe they didn't need, you know, maybe they didn't need to repeat what they did on SmackDown, you know. Maybe they should have done a 5-way elimination match. Maybe that's what it should have been, you know. But it is what it is. Now we're getting Hank and Tank versus Fraxium at Stand and Deliver. So at least Fraxium have a match you could show off, because, you know, they've been champions for a long ass time, and they need a challenge, you know. They need a match, need to be put on these big shows, because otherwise they're just wasted as champions. Now, speaking of tag team divisions, obviously we know the D'Angelo family have had their problems with Dark State, and we're going to meet up in a parking lot for a parking lot brawl this time, and obviously it did happen. It was fucking sick, might I just say. Crowbars everywhere, people getting put through tables, Like, the impact was crazy that they got put through a table. And then Stacks and his D'Angelo buddy speared one of them through the wall. And then they were throwing each other off cars, legitimately denting the cars. Like, the car was not a prop. Slammed everyone on the windshield. And finally, as they began to get outnumbered, Tony D'Angelo pulled up, because originally we were told by Stacks that he told him to keep away, and he didn't actually run it by Tony D'Angelo. Stacks trying to protect him. Well, Tony D'Angelo comes, saves the day. Cops are there and Stacks wants to run, but Tony's like, no, there are people, I called the cops. And Tony has a bit of a go at him, saying, you didn't run it by me, this is what happens. And now we have it confirmed that we will have a 6-man tag team match at Stand Deliver between the D'Angelo family and Dark State. That's a beautiful Porsche, by the way. Between the D'Angelo family and Dark State. Yeah, now the card is getting full. Now we have 6 matches on the card. That's good. That is good. We could have had 7 if you had let Sean Spears keep his North American Championship, but it's fine. But it's fine. We live to fight another day. And as I was talking about all the promos on Raw and SmackDown, when people are giving their different perspectives on the feud, and you see everyone's side of the story. Well, we got promo packages from absolutely everyone in the NXT Women's Fatal 4-Way Championship match. Yeah, you know, we got a story from Jordan Grace, because, you know, she's new to WWE, so she's telling her whole life story. I did not know she was fat at one point. Crazy. You know, and then I had Jada Parker telling her story of where she grew up. I can't really remember if Julia did anything. Maybe she did, or maybe, yeah, she did. She explained when she arrived at NXT and all that. And then we had Stephanie Vaquer explaining her trip back to Chile as the first ever Chilean WWE champion, really. So that was cool. Got promo packages, got to see something from everyone. And I can't wait for that Fatal 4-Way. It's crazy to me that Jada Parker's there, because she sticks out like a sore thumb, but it's fine. Then finally, for the NXT Championship, we had Obafemi, Trick Williams, Javon Evans. Cut a 3-way promo. Now, I'm not always good at remembering the promos, but I seem to remember Trick Williams was out there talking his shit. Obafemi comes out saying, you're the only one saying whoop that trick now, and then the crowd start chanting whoop that trick, and Trick Williams says, I don't know if you're deaf or stupid, but they're chanting whoop that trick. And then Javon Evans comes out, cuts a promo and says, I dropped the NXT champion twice, yada yada yada, I have just as much shot at winning that belt, stuff like that. And then Obafemi just kind of shuts down Javon Evans, like, ladies and gentlemen, that was Javon Evans. And like, kind of belittling his promo a bit. And then obviously the inevitable fight breaks out. And Obafemi and Trick Williams are just going after each other, because it's like Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins and CM Punk. The feud is like, it's really between Reigns and Punk, and Rollins gets involved, gets himself injected in it. This was really between Obafemi and Trick Williams. Javon Evans is added there because he wants the title. Well, Trick and Oba teamed up on Javon. They threw him out the ring, he got back in, they threw him back out. They continued to fight, and then Javon Evans, from the top rope, hits a double cutter on both men. The only problem is, it hit perfectly for Obafemi, it botched for Trick Williams. I don't know who's at fault for that, because, you know, Javon's elbow just kind of landed on top of Trick's head. He didn't really grab his head, so I don't know if that's Trick falling too early, or if that was Javon not grabbing his head, but a botch isn't cool. So that's my NXT reactions. I really wanted to talk more about Stand Deliver and what I think is going to happen, but I realised I need to save that for the predictions video. So, thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and please tune in for the predictions video coming later. Goodbye.